Welcome to Club IDIC. Today, we will be watching The City on the Edge of Forever from Star Trek, the original series, and we will be discussing the Gateway to Chaos. Please enjoy this meeting. So hello, how are you?
Frustrated, but hanging in there.
Well, I'm sorry that you're frustrated, but I'm proud of you for hanging in there.
My friend wants to go to one of the tea rooms and have a tea party.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants to go on a Sunday afternoon after church. Except the only one that's like close by is not open on Sunday. And the only one that has gluten-free food besides that one is in Edmond, which is not terribly far, but it's further for her, like a lot further for her.
Uh-huh.
And the only one that's closer, and I don't know if they have gluten-free food, is $28 a person for the tea party. No, thank you. $28 plus tax. That's not including tax. So yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing. I know sometimes life can be expensive, but considering what's going on these days for everybody right now, sometimes little treats like that might be worth it. Just saying. It's okay to spoil yourself once in a while.
I don't know if everybody else is gonna feel the same way.
What?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if everyone else is gonna be able to pay $28 person. Like, I got me and my mom, but I can't pay for everybody, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. She hasn't called me back.
Well, if you can do it, I say do it because life's too short to avoid spoiling yourself once in a while.
I suppose you're right.
I mean, it's a tea house. I mean,
I know.
let me tell you a little story. When I went to Star Trek Las Vegas for last time, like in 2017, I spent $40 on a video zip line just so I could have a video.
Well, I spent $35 on an autographed picture of George Takei way back in the 90s, and that was a lot more money back then.
Oh, we won't talk about how much money I've spent on photo things at Star Trek conventions.
Can I show you something?
Yeah. What does that say? Oh, hug dreams.
It says hug dealer. Instead of drug dealer, it says hug dealer. It was $2 at Walmart. I couldn't pass it up.
Well, see, what you mean, sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody or screw up the time.
Not 30.
You know, no, but here's the thing. Sometimes you got to take that leap of faith and just go for it, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody and as long as it doesn't screw up the time continuum.
Right? Okay, I am on episode. I just finished episode 3 of season 4 on Enterprise. Oh my God! For just a minute, I really thought Archer was dead, and then I was like, no, because he's in season 4, so it can't be. Something happened.
Well, we might have to squeeze more Enterprise in at some point, but we're doing the original series today.
I know, and it's one of my favorites. It is so on the top 5 of
yes. This episode especially, before this club even existed, and I would just hop through Netflix, just focusing on my favorite episodes. This episode was definitely one of them.
Yes, me too. I absolutely. But see, Dr. McCoy looks like he could be one of my dad's brothers. Like, he looks similar enough that he could be one of the brothers. And okay, so his nickname is Bones. And my dad, whose name is Jim, had a cat that he nicknamed Bones.
That is
I mean,
awesome.
I think it's awesome. Other people might just think, I'm being weird again, but to me, that is just so cool.
Well, you're not even
Jim
Carl
and Bones.
Urban. Even Carl Urban worked the Bones into the reboots. So that's awesome.
I think it's awesome. And oh my gosh, that cat was so spoiled. He would sit in his recliner and that cat would come up. And Daddy let that cat drink out of his cup of tea, his cup of sweet tea. And Mama had a fit. She marked that glass. That is the only glass that you can do that with, because my mom did not want her dishes being eaten out of by an animal. And so Daddy didn't consider the cat as an animal, but Mama did.
That's awesome.
But I'm telling you, oh my God. So I came back from college for like a weekend where my mom was going to take me shopping and everything. And on the dining room table was a folded piece of construction paper where Daddy had drawn a cat and written a birthday card for the damn cat. He handmade a birthday card for a cat.
Well, that's okay.
I know, but it's just like, you don't understand. Daddy was so like cut and dry and to the point, and the fact that he hand drew on construction paper with markers a birthday card for the cat, just, it's so out of character. It's wow. But yeah, it said happy birthday with a picture of the cat. Then on the inside, in quotation marks, it said happy birthday, Bones, with a heart. With a heart. Daddy did not draw hearts. You need to understand, he did not do anything for our birthdays. He left all of that up to Mama. Mama did all of the birthday cards, all of the, Daddy did, even for his own mom. Mama bought and signed the birthday cards. Daddy didn't do birthday cards until he started doing them for the cats.
Well,
But, I miss him.
yeah,
I hope other people show up.
I hope so too. But it's a good episode, so we'll get some good
Oh
conversation.
my gosh. The ending.
It is a sad ending, but we're not there yet.
I know, but it gets me right here every time.
Oh, here we go. Here's someone now.
Maybe it's Joe.
Like,
Maybe
oh,
Edith
McCoy. It's
I love
Connie.
Dr. McCoy.
Hello.
Alive and well.
Hey, how you
Hello,
feeling?
hello. I'm okay. How are you?
They canceled my surgery last week, but it's rescheduled for Tuesday, so we'll see.
Yeah, everything happens on Tuesday to us Trekkies, doesn't it?
It seems like it. And you know what? Thursday, like I have an appointment with like DHS. They're gonna try to get me some help with stuff. And I find myself looking forward to that because I don't have an episode of Strange New Worlds to watch, and I'm dying because I know they've already got it. It's all done. They just need to
I
play.
know. Post-production, though, someone who's done a few things.
I
in
know.
film. Post-production
know,
takes
but
forever.
I know. It's just killing me. I have got to see what happens. And
Yeah.
all of the like fan pages, there's either people on there with their hate, or there's people on there with their guesses as to what's going to happen. And I'm like, I don't want to guess what's going to happen. I want to wait and see what happens.
I've made it to about episode 6.
You're not even done yet.
No, because, I have a chronic condition and sometimes I'm tired and sometimes I have things to do and I try my best. Oh,
Okay, I have no life, so I don't have things to
I'm
do.
not
So
trying to insult you and say you have no life. I just
I'm not
have
saying
other
you
things to
are.
do. And I've
I'm
also got
saying that.
ADHD. I've also got ADHD and I live on the autism spectrum and sometimes my interest lies elsewhere.
It's okay.
Anthony.
Oh,
I just wanna be
hello.
able to-
What did I miss?
Hey,
Oh, we
How's
were
it going,
plotting.
Teresa?
I'm still on this side of the dirt, so I am good.
Oh gosh, don't talk like that.
I thought that was a positive statement.
Like you're gonna stay on this side of the dirt for many more years to come.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna be burying you or having a wake or any weird god awful crap like that. So just no.
I am being cautiously optimistic because I know
Oh.
God can do anything he wants to.
And
We're
besides
not
which,
gonna lose
Heather,
one more. I'm not gonna lose one more effing loved one to cancer. So stop it.
Teresa,
Yes.
be thankful this is not Ferenginar. Well, they will chop you up and sell your pieces to the highest bidder.
Well, yeah, there is that.
That's true.
I'd rather go to Stovacor than Ferenginar.
That's true.
We think,
Anyways,
we think other, other species cultures are weird, but just think about the fact that at some point a human being thought of all those things to put them into species design. Just saying.
that's true. Or we could just throw you in the Guardian of Forever so you could go back to a time before all this happened and you could be well and maybe we could meet the well you. And
That would be so awesome. Because I think that I would do really well, like in the pioneer days.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm a little accustomed to the modern amenities like indoor heat, running water, that stuff.
That's true. And besides, the pioneer days aren't all that they're cracked up to be. A lot of people died. I do some research on the pioneer days. I actually got a taste of it back in 2005 when I hiked all 20 miles of Martin's Cove with a bunch of others dressed in pioneer clothes in like 110-degree heat at Martin's Cove, Wyoming.
Heavens.
Mm.
We have what's called the Harn Homestead that is
Mhm.
set in the pioneer days. So when I was a teenager, I got to do the whole dressing in it and
Mhm.
frying chicken and going to a one-room schoolhouse, the whole shebang. It was so fun, but we went in the fall because in Oklahoma,
Yeah.
we can still have 90-degree days in September, and it was 111 today. And I don't think so. I can't.
It was like 110, 120. We had to haul these hand carts
no.
full of gallon buckets dressed in pioneer things. People were given baby dolls, and every so often we would stop and these baby dolls would be taken away, symbolizing deaths on the trail. And the women would have to, at some point, the women had to hold these hand carts up alone because the men would be off to war because there were wars in those times the men assisted in. And it was just very interesting. And the women were carried across the Sweetwater River and we visited Devil's Gate and climbed up Devil's Gate. It was a very interesting experience having to hike up the cliffs and visit different portions. And yes, this was when I was 17.
When I was 17, I was fat. There ain't no way I was gonna walk like that. Nope, nope, nope.
Oh.
Absolutely.
I had to prepare. I had to hike all over my little town that I lived in. I had to hike and hike and hike and practice because I was fat too.
Well, mm-mm. See,
Let's talk about the fact that my whole life I've thought I was fat, and then I got fatter and looked back at older pictures of myself and went, wow, I wish I looked like that when I was fat, because
Mm.
not worse.
right? I think we all have some pictures like that. Yeah.
Y'all looked amused when you saw us talking about our pioneer days.
Me?
Y'all have never done that?
Who you talking to?
Both of you.
Both of you.
Especially you. You had this little smile on your face, like, really?
Oh, I didn't mean that. I don't remember what I smiled at. Maybe
Y'all
it was a
didn't
thought
do
that was happening in my head that was related or something I was going to say. I don't remember, but I have not done that. No.
Like, here's a question for y'all. If you had the chance to use a guardian of forever, if they existed,
Mhm.
like the government would probably try to abuse it if it did, but if they existed, would you use it? And what would you use it for?
I think I would go back and hug my grandma and my Aunt Velma just one more time and
So,
sing, because we used
sorry.
to sing together.
Oh, it's really sweet.
That is sweet.
It's been a
But the
really
one thing
long
I have
time.
about that is, how would your grandmother know it was you? Like, who is this old lady is coming up to me calling me grandma?
Oh, Teresa's not old. Oh my gosh, that's mean.
I think she would recognize me.
I say that because
Besides-
there was a Twilight Zone episode where that actually happened. A guy goes back in time to his childhood. And he does run into his father, and like, long story short, this is the young guy's time. Go back to your time. Let him have his time.
Anyway, so you'd go hug your ancestors.
My Aunt Velma died when I was in Virginia, so I didn't get a chance to say goodbye.
Aw.
And well, I had two Aunt Velmas. One that was my grandma's sister, and one was her sister-in-law. And they were very different from each other, but Aunt Velma and Grandma and I used to go, and I would go with them to help them, and we'd go do errands for all day long. But we would sing hymns in the car, and you may have noticed that I posted a lot of hymns last night late.
I did.
Yeah, I noticed.
Very pretty.
But
And I noticed that Jewish dance, that Jewish service you posted as well.
did you watch it?
I watched a little bit because I asked you that question about the circle
That's
dance.
right. The dancing, the Davidic dancing. I miss doing that. I can't do that because of the damage to my knee and my hip. I can't. You saw the dance. There is no way I could do that. But I do miss doing that.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. Some weirdness on my phone. Hear people screaming. Ignore that.
Anyway,
Death
all
wails
good.
of my enemies.
I have to turn off my notifications first because otherwise Worf is constantly saying, incoming message, Captain, incoming message, Captain. And I've accidentally left it on at doctor's appointments, and they're like, what was that? And I'm like, it's
epic.
Commander Worf. He's letting me know that there's messages for me.
Have none of them been like, oh my God, Star Trek?
Once somebody recognized it as Worf and was like, you're a Trekkie? And I said, I'm proud of it.
That is so amazing.
I have gotten some criticism for using the word Trekkie.
Oh,
here we
screw the
go.
critics. Like critics can mind their own business. I hate
They're
Trekkie
like-
gatekeepers.
They're like, Trekkie is too old school. You have to use Trekker now. And I'm like, that sounds stupid to me. So I don't
Okay.
want to use it.
Oh, we're Star Trek
So-
fans. Leave it at that.
I didn't say that to them. I said it in my head to me.
Excuse me.
Well, either way.
Here's the thing, people try to gatekeep how other people should be fans when everybody has the right to be fans
Yeah.
the way they want to be fans.
So I'm not
Yeah,
gonna die on this hill, but here's what I would say, and this is from an English major perspective, because that is what I am, and I'm a professional editor. So there is that.
Okay.
Trekkie is, I mean, just by the E ending, it's someone who's into something. Trekker would be one who treks. So all of the people actually involved in the production of Star Trek could call themselves Trekkers, in my personal opinion. So, like I said, if I'm going to die on that hill, I wouldn't argue with it, you know, to very great extent with anybody, but that's what I would say.
Right.
So would fan film actors be Trekkers then? Because they were involved in a way.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, you know, that gets into our fan films canon.
Because I was involved in a fan film, so am I a Trekkie and a Trekker?
You might be. I mean, I guess it just depends, you know, no offense intended, but fan films don't come out from the actual people who create Star Trek. So I don't know that it could be considered official Star Trek. I mean, it's
but
not
he's a
official
pretty
Star Trek.
he's a pretty darn popular fan film creator, so.
But
I
I mean,
mean,
it's not put out by CBS Productions or whatever.
Oh, I
the
know.
CBS Studios.
But does
So-
that include like the things put out, like the Trekkers, like does that include the artists as well? Because I've had things put out by CBS Production. I had that one article.
Good question. I don't know.
I mean, I would never like tell someone who calls themselves a Trekker, I would never tell them they were wrong for that. Because that's just me. I don't want to argue.
I don't know. We should not want to diminish each other's love of Star Trek. Oh my Lord. I knew he went to get something from his bookshelf of Trek books. I just knew it.
Oh no. Are you gonna pull out the
I was
official
like-
manual or whatever, Anthony,
He
and
has
read
a
it?
manual for everything. Oh my God.
Hey, I had a lot of those. My Star
What
Trek
did I
wallet
just
is
miss?
huge.
I saw you disappear and I'm like, oh, Anthony's going off to his bookshelf to find yet another Star Trek manual because he has Star Trek manuals on everything.
Hey, I'm very well versed in the field, and I take pride in that.
You know what? I actually used to be a technical writer. I mean, that's actually still my title. I just don't write very often in my job anymore. So, but I used to have a job where I wrote software manuals. So maybe my professional past and my interest in Star Trek mean I could marry the two and write a Star Trek manual of some kind. But I don't,
you're gonna
I'm
be
not,
Scotty.
honestly, I'm not one of those fans who knows enough about it to do that.
Oh, you're like
Yeah.
Scotty then almost.
You're what? I'm what?
You're like a Scotty.
I mean, Scotty's a chief engineer. He's going to know way more than me.
You're a technical writing genius. You're a Scotty.
Hey.
No, I would have to talk to Scotty to understand the stuff and then put it in language that the average non-chief engineer or non-engineer would be able to
Okay,
understand.
so you're like,
That's actually what software tech writers do, and many other kinds of tech
Oh.
writers. They
Oh.
take the technical and they understand it well enough to write up what the end user needs. That's the usual job of a tech writer.
okay. So you're like Chekhov in Into Darkness when he was suddenly just given extra responsibility because Scotty ran quit.
Teresa, where did you leave your camera? It looks like it's up on a shelf and we're looking down at a door.
Hold on a second.
All right. Should we wait for Teresa before Anthony produces his latest manual? I know you've got a manual under there, Anthony.
Is that? Hold on a second. Number
Don't
one
deny it. Don't
Oh.
deny it.
is the elf.
Maybe don't talk with your mouth full. Maybe that. Nobody wants to see that.
But I'm not a cat licking himself.
I wish we had,
I didn't
I
say
wish I had
that.
offered, I wish I had bet on whether or not Anthony went to get a manual. I would have won some money. I need money.
Well, that this is coming. What? Okay, so Teresa as a shelf. Where's the elf?
I thought those came out after Thanksgiving.
And Connie, I know you weren't there, but she. Oh, there she's back. She's back.
Teresa, let's see what
back.
Anthony, let's see what manual Anthony found this time.
And you were looking at the ceiling and probably part of the lamp.
Right, and this one is up here calling me cute again. I put on my Facebook picture
What,
of me on
cute?
the Enterprise D bridge, and Heather's like, "Oh, you're so cute. This is a cake topper." Ooh.
So what if I
What
call you cute?
problem
What
do you
gonna
have
do
with
about
someone
it?
calling you cute? That's
What
what
are
I
you gonna
don't.
do about it?
What? She's gonna, I don't know, drag me to Riza or something.
What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna come up to Canada and fight me or what?
Oh,
Anthony, she's flirting with you.
So,
and
so what? All right, let's see the manual.
I
We know
only
you
said
got
that-
it.
no, I'm
I
not pulling
only
it out.
I only said that because, well, okay, stereotype time. Too
Oh,
many
of
guys
course.
don't get it when someone's flirting with them. So I thought I would just state it.
We both know what we're doing. We're adults.
It's all good.
I know, it's like I'm her man crush. So
Okay, let's see it, Anthony. Let's see the manual.
no.
We know it's
Oh,
on your
come
lap.
on. Come on, please.
I'm not looking for it. It's in my bedroom. I know I have the TNG manual and the DS9 manual.
Deep Space Nine. I love it. Captain Sisko is my favorite ever.
By far.
I just think that finally we got a chance to see a more realistic thing because we get to see daily stuff. We got to see him cooking. We got to see him spend time with his son. We got to see, real life stuff. And I appreciated that. And, episodes like In the Pale Moonlight, the struggle that captains face on a daily. Now that I've watched Enterprise mostly, I'm in the 4th season, and seen what Archer went through, I think that's a very similar thing. Like we really see with this fight with the Zindi, and then when we see in season 4, I don't know if everybody's seen it,
Yeah.
but he really had a struggle with what
Oh,
happened. What the hell?
Okay, we need to have a word with Zoom. So this conversation keeps getting hacked.
anyway,
Heather, are you able to block any more incomers?
I can do that. Yeah.
At this point, I think you probably can safely assume no one else from the actual group is coming. I could be wrong, but I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see like how many members there really are, because it's like 2 or 3, maybe 4 on the meetings. So
Yeah.
I was shocked.
I'm sorry about that. But I wish, what I wish we would have seen more of in Deep Space Nine just to see what would have happened. I wish we would have seen like Guardian of Forever episodes, because seeing what ifs and alternate timelines and things might have been interesting.
Well, they did have an episode with one of the Guardians because they were sent to destroy one,
That's the
and the Jim
Iconian
Hadar
gate.
were not told. It's not the same.
That's that gateway from they found the Next Generation, that they could go to any other place in time in history. So on that
Yeah, that's
DS9
the same as the
episode, the
Guardian
Jim
of the-
Hadar found it, right? And they're going to use it to invade. That's it. Had Cisco had to like blow up that gate.
Yeah.
The Iconians.
But I honestly wish that we would have seen maybe, I don't know, them being tempted by the gateway and being tempted to use it and shown alternate futures or something like that. It's like, you know, I don't know, like how many of you have seen the last or the second last episode of Strange New Worlds, the end of Strange New Worlds? Because I'll bring
I've
that
seen
up
all
because I've
10.
seen it.
I've seen all 10.
Yeah, like, you know, Pike being shown what will happen if he makes a specific choice. I'll just say that.
Well,
Why couldn't Cisco or somebody on the Deep Space Nine crew be shown what happens if they make a specific choice about a specific situation? That would have made for an interesting set of episodes. Or they make a specific choice and they get placed in a situation by Q, like, you know, how they did in Picard.
well, I think
the Q
Cisco
don't
took
fit.
care of
Q
Q.
doesn't fit in there.
What?
Q doesn't fit into the context of Deep Space Nine. They
He
tried.
was in Deep Space Nine because Cisco punched him and said,
Yep.
Q was like, Picard never
One
punched me. I'm not Picard.
Ow. One good pal. That's all it took.
But it would have been interesting to see how the characters of Deep Space Nine would have dealt with a continuum or alternate like situation.
Well, I think you can put that down to creative differences between Ira Stephen Bear and Rick Berman.
Well, that's true. And even Voyager, you know, might have benefited a little from such a situation. I mean, Enterprise got a mirror episode. Deep Space Nine's mirror episodes, they could have done more with.
I mean, Voyager had some alternate episodes like the Year of Hell. Those two
And the
episodes.
Harry Kim thing, that was just like a skimming of the surface. It wasn't that good.
It was supposed to be longer. Like it was originally written for longer. Like, I don't remember, like 6 episodes or something.
What, you talking
I
about
remember
Timeless?
No,
Huh?
the Year of Hell, you know, where the one dude kept changing the timeline and erasing world
Yeah.
to regain his lost wife. And I mean, even the Orville did like a
I haven't
two-parter.
seen that.
Yes,
I'm
I
so
watched the
glad-
Orville.
I am so glad you brought up the Orville. Oh my God. I have just the other day, like yesterday, finished watching all of the currently available episodes. I love that
Yes.
show.
Yes, I watched The Road Not Taken. Yes, I watched it.
I was actually reminded of it a few times already in this conversation, and I was about to be like, can I bring up a different show? And who
Yes,
loves
people can
Orville?
bring up different shows. Yes, I'm starting to peak at Orville.
Oh, so you're not all the way through it yet?
No, but I know bits and pieces.
I won't spoil it.
I'm
But
starting to
it's a
peek
fun
at it.
show.
I don't know how to access it all the way though. So you can tell me after how to do it.
do you have Hulu?
I'm not in the States.
So you
Give me
can't
some
access
ideas.
everything we can?
Drop some ideas in my inbox because it sounds very interesting.
I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but I want to finish Enterprise before I start anything else.
But what do you think?
And I'm
that-
only on season 4, episode 4.
What do you think that the Star Trek universe could have done with the Gateway of Forever that they didn't? I know they utilized it in Discovery to weigh Georgiou's choices and send her back to the mirror universe to see what she had learned from her time in the Prime universe.
So
I
question,
think
delving a little bit into the real world for a moment,
Uh-huh.
is Harlan Ellison still alive?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I think he penned that episode.
That's right, but I don't think he's still alive. I have to, that's a very good question.
What are you talking about?
Harlan Ellison, I think
who
he passed
wrote that
away.
episode,
Okay.
with the
I think he
not
passed
Tucker
away.
Theater, not tomorrow. The one with the gate that we're watching tonight.
The Guardian of Forever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think he wrote that.
but for
He died in
Heather's question-
2018.
Oh wow.
Okay, he's been dead for 4 years. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm trying to think. Yeah. How many of you have actually seen the episode?
It's
have
been a
seen it
while
lots
in
of
my
times.
case.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
I've
it's been a
watched
while
it
for me
many
too.
times, so I know
So-
most of it.
So since it's been a while, should we go refresh our memories?
Yep.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, so it is.
Hold on, let me mute myself.
Let me just remind you where it is. It is the 28th in the first season.
I think it's the 29th.
Oh, well, 28th, 29th. I don't know the order. They all screw it up with plus and anyway.
Well, if you're watching it on Paramount Plus, it's season 1, episode 29. That's
Oh,
all.
well, I don't have plus. I just watched it on Crave. Anyway, if anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat and I will see them and I will see you after, all right? Kisses and hugs. Love you all. Peace and blessings. Oh, and I want to hear the rest of your answers about what you'd use the Guardian for when we get back. It was a good episode.
And God knows how many temporal paradoxes I've seen.
Yeah, but you know what? It brought up something from Strange New Worlds that I remember watching.
But if it's the last 2 episodes of this season, don't say anything. I haven't
No,
watched.
it's from the beginning one. It's from the pilot.
Okay, that we can talk about.
Like, you know, how Spock and Kirk were looking over the alternate future and how they were talking about how Edith was right about the need for peace, but at the wrong time, and how Spock was talking about how peace negotiations dragged on and that allowed for Germany to win the Second World War. You know, that made me think about, you know, how when Pike was talking to that group about how the need for peace is important and how those extra wars, how the Second Civil War, the eugenics wars, and World War III happened because everybody was competitive with their ideas for peace. And, you know, passionate pacifism is great. But there's such a thing.
Yeah, I'm still trying to think. I'm going to cut you
Yeah,
off. You
There's
finish
such a
it,
thing
I'll
as
let
too
you go.
much passionate pacifism.
Yeah, and just thinking in a contemporary context, right? It's kind of weird that Kirk and Spock went back in time to stop Dr. McCoy, but actually it's kind of like Dr. McCoy had to go back in time to stop Kirk, you know, for letting this lady live. And as much as I hate to say it, there are some people who in history had to die for our history to go its current course.
Yes. Yeah, you know, it's ironic. I'm actually going to bring that up now. Where was that? The irony of how the death of a pacifist led to many wars that resulted in a future that included the Federation. Like focal points in time, important points in time that actually led to the creation of the Federation. Where Edith Keeler's death, Gabrielle Bell's role in the Bell Riots, First Contact, and, you know, Jonathan Archer's NX-01 mission and the whole speech. Forget the Hoedic thing. Don't mention the Hoedic thing. But just assume that it happened. You know, all those points, those focal points in time were important. And God forbid Rene Picard's part in the Europa mission as well. Those were all focal points in time that were important.
Yes, I know sci-fi writers love the idea of time travel. Because who wouldn't like to meet Heather, who's the Canadian equivalent of Abraham Lincoln?
Oh gosh, you know, history was not my strong suit.
Oh. Sorry.
We had a lot of wars up here and we're still having disagreements up here because some people think that some parts of Canada should be independent from the country.
Yes, I'm not, I know I've heard about the whole Quebec being its own country thing.
Yes, some people even think Alberta should be independent, but trust me, we've got enough problems.
But then again, around here, south of the border for you, there's a few people that want Texas to be its own country.
Hey, if it's its own country, I want Oklahoma with it.
But you know, it's interesting. We need to remember though that, you know, people don't need to be competitive with their ideas concerning peace. Because
But-
peace is a common goal. So
But
everybody,
it depends, people have different ways of looking at it. There's already 7 billion things on this planet. And there's like 7 billion different ideas of what peace is. And like
Yeah.
narrowing it down to one cohesive thing that people can work on, well, as everybody knows, it's easier said than done.
well, peace is basically everybody getting along and everybody looking at each other as equals.
But what's the likelihood of that actually happening? I know that would be utopian ideas there, but I just don't see that happening. We're very different people, and different ideas are not bad. People being able to discuss different ideas. The problem is we're not able to sit down across the table from somebody who thinks differently than we do, who looks differently than we do, who was raised differently, has different beliefs, has different thoughts. We're not able to do that. I mean, we have some people who can do that. I think I would be one of them. But like Anthony said, there's 7 million ideas, there's 7 million thoughts. I mean, even me and my siblings that were raised in the same house with the same parents and same rules and the same everything, we did not think alike at all.
Well, peace is not about thinking alike. Peace is about respecting each other's thoughts and dreams and opinions and just working amicably together to come to compromises and making sure people are just satisfied with their way of living. Satisfied, not perfect. Nothing's perfect, but everybody's
That's the
happy
problem.
one way or another.
That is the problem. Because, you know, nobody's going to be satisfied if it's so-and-so's idea. You know what I mean? It's, oh, well, that idea came from a Muslim, so I'm not going to respect it. Or that idea came from, you know, somebody who has very different beliefs than I do. So therefore, their idea of peace cannot be right because it didn't come from my camp.
Yeah,
Like, you
And
know,
unfortunately, I see that. I mean, I've even seen that in the church setting growing up, people disagreeing about, sometimes it was silly stuff. I kid you not, we had, I had to be like 10, 11 years old. There was a business meeting at the church and it turned into a fight. A verbal fight, not a, you know, fist.
right,
a
right. It's
verbal
not the
fight.
Jerry Springer show, basically, but still a heated debate.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the Jerry Springer show, but people were literally threatening to leave the church or not tithe or do this or whatever because they wanted the carpet and the hymnals to be the same color, but they couldn't agree to take the color that matched the hymnals because they were cheaper, and that upset people. But,
anyway,
you
like,
know,
you know, Edith Keeler literally said, man is going to be able to harness incredible energies. I mean, we have all these wonderful, incredible energies, but we're all using them for bad things. Why don't we actually use them for good things?
because everybody's idea of good is different.
Hi, Connie.
There you
I'm
go.
sorry. We got into the discussion a little bit eagerly because I was bringing up some things from Strange New Worlds as Pike.
It's fine.
And you missed the interesting dialogue
Oh,
involving
I was
Teresa.
actually here for some of it.
What are your
mean-
thoughts?
Oh, I don't have any yet.
Ah,
Oh, I do have one actually. I can attest to what Teresa was saying. I mean, I grew up in the Baptist church, well, one type of Baptist church.
oh goodness.
Seriously, it's a thing. And
It is.
church splits over tiny issues. It's a thing.
Hey, you want to hear a funny story? It's not related to the show, but when I went to college, I started attending an independent Baptist church, and I moved my membership to that independent Baptist church. And my Southern Baptist parents, my dad put me, I'm not kidding, he had a blackboard in the classroom with the prayer request. He put my name at the top of the list because I was in the wrong church.
The wrong kind of Baptist church.
Wrong kind of Baptist church, because independent Baptist church and Southern Baptist church do not get along.
The
Traditionally.
independent fundamental Baptists, that's what I grew up in. And here's the irony. Well, it's not irony, it's hypocrisy in that. So, they're all about their independence because they didn't want to be like the Catholic Church, which has all this hierarchy, because then someone, is telling what the individual congregation to do.
Yeah,
And I'm not done. Hold on. Yet they had all these associations with each other that they just never talked about. They were like, oh, we're an independent church all unto ourselves, blah, blah, blah. But the whole time they're a member of these associations that made them actually not all that independent in the long run. So
I know.
don't get me started on this topic because I could go all day.
Yeah, just a real.
Me too. Me too.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Baptist subdivision does not follow a pope or any sort of like hierarchical leader.
Correct.
No, but they do follow the Baptist convention.
Okay, who wrote
Whatever
the
the
Baptist convention?
Whatever the convention decides on a yearly basis, that is the beliefs of the Baptist church for the next year.
Wow.
So
Unless there's a truly independent church that doesn't belong to that, and then they do their own thing, and the
Yeah,
pastor
it's
is
called-
the
I
king
think
of
it's
his
called
little
the Church
domain
of
that is
Me.
Yeah.
that is his church. And that's that's super common, where everybody's like, oh, you don't go against the man of God, i.e. the pastor, and he's the king within his own little domain, which is his individual church. It's really, really dangerous.
Anyway, I think people who say they believe in God should focus on acting like God. And God was about helping others and looking past anybody's differences and really just focusing on the needs of the people and the fact that people were in need.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that's
kind
a
of what-
lengthy discussion.
Kind of like what Edith Keeler did. She didn't focus on the differences of the people. She focused on the fact that people were in need, and she did her best to feed the people physically and took care of them spiritually with her little speeches.
Right, and the guy was like, oh boy, she's saying this again.
Yes, but she did so well in just speaking to them graciously and trying to remind them of their potential and telling them that they were so much better than just simply doing what they were doing, and just reminding them that they were gifts to the world and they were capable of being so much better, and just to keep trying and looking towards the future and saying that the future was going to be better and that they shouldn't give up hope in themselves or in each other or in the future.
well, I mean, she had a very idealistic view of the future, which was great. I mean, we all want the hope and the peace and the getting along, but the reality of it is, if we look in ourselves, what do we notice first? Do we notice the similarities first, or do we notice the differences
The
first?
difference is,
Do we notice the future of peace, or do we just focus on those differences and be like, well, it can't happen because so and so says this, so and so says that, they believe this, they believe that, they dress this way, they do this that way. I mean, seriously, you know,
Yeah.
even people who are trying to do the right thing and think the right way and be that optimist, an eternal optimist, what do we notice first? We notice the difference. We notice whether we say it or not, but we notice it. I mean, we just can't help it. We notice the differences.
We
This
do, you know,
person is
some,
different
and we
from
make
me.
mistakes. We sometimes make mistakes with other people and in situations based on our limited perspectives. Because our noticing differences sometimes cause us to have limited perspectives. But you know, the thing about mistakes, we can sometimes make some mistakes right. We can sometimes go back and say, I'm sorry, and have second chances to make things right. And you know, the interesting thing about this episode is that despite the Guardian saying, oh, I was designed to show you time in a specific fashion, he showed a bit of mercy to Kirk and Spock, and he allowed them to go and rectify McCoy's mistake, even though he had said, oh, I'm only designed to show time in this specific way, but he reversed himself somehow. We don't see how, and he allowed them to go and rescue McCoy and fix the situation that McCoy had created with his interference.
I mean, as a doctor, even if he was not attracted to Edith Keeler, which he clearly was at that end part, their whole thing is to save people, to
Do no harm.
you know, to preserve life in whatever way they can.
In terms of attraction, though, I think Kirk was the one with the deeper
Oh, Kirk was
attraction.
definitely in love.
Well,
But
he's the ladies' man, of course. He just had to put that little wrinkle in
I
there.
don't think it was anything about a ladies' man. He was truly in love with Edith.
I think so, because they had that connection where he was actually living what she was dreaming about.
So they did have that frame of reference, I'll give you that.
If he could have taken her back through the Guardian, oh, he probably would have.
Yeah, funny thing. I'm not haha funny, but strange funny.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. Just to the original Captain Kirk alone, they went back in time to deal because Dr. McCoy went back in time, and Captain Kirk almost ruined time, and McCoy had to save time, and that's one thing. And 1930s, and then 50 years later, they come back again, right?
Mm-hmm.
To pick up a pair of humpback whales.
Mm-hmm.
And well, okay, like my head is getting crazy, all this time travel stuff, even within Star Trek canon. Even Carbon Creek,
Right.
where the Vulcans invented Velcro. But yeah, it's kind of how these writers in the 60s, Ellison, Asimov, what's the guy that did the Jason the Argonauts?
Well, there's even a fan fiction movie made by like James Cawley and stuff called Star Trek of Gods and Men, where I believe involved an alternate universe of the Guardian of Forever. I won't spoil it. I'll just let me Google it really quick. Yeah, it was a very scary time. It was a fan miniseries that contained some original series cast members.
Dead or Alive.
Oh, alive. It was
All right,
filmed
Teresa
in
just
2000
flipped again.
It was filmed in
I'll be right
2000.
back. I just gotta get my pills. I'll be right back.
Okay,
It was Star Trek of Gods and Men was filmed in 2006, but not released till 2007 and 8. Yeah. And basically this person named Charlie. Do we remember Charlie from the original?
Charlie X.
Yes. And he was bitter over Kirk's decision to turn him over to the Thasians. So he used the Guardian to alter the timeline and go back in time and kill Kirk's mother before Kirk was born. And
Oh, come on.
all hell breaks loose.
Heather, do you have to bring up the grandfather paradox?
And I
No.
thought you said you weren't going to spoil it.
Well, no, I'm not going to spoil how it turns out, but I'm just going to, that's the part of the thing.
Okay, and you know what I'm talking about, right, Connie?
No.
The
Oh,
grandfather
Futurama.
paradox?
Oh,
Let me
Futurama?
explain. Basically, Connie,
Yes.
let's say I go back in time and kill my grandfather when he was
Then
a
you
little
don't
kid.
exist anymore.
Then I don't exist anymore. But if I don't exist anymore, how can I go back in
How could
time
you-
and
yes,
kill him?
yes,
So he's
yes.
alive. I come out, he's dead, he's alive, he's dead, he's alive.
Are you
I'm like-
talking about that episode of Futurama where Fry is his own grandfather?
There you go.
Yes, I've seen it.
Oh,
But yeah, it's
Yeah, man,
it's
the
a
plot
very-
you're talking about from Gods of Men sounds like the grandfather paradox.
No, it's a very different story and it creates a different alternative universe. You should all go watch it.
Right.
But anyway, back to the question. This actually creates a good time to bring up the question that we never got to finish.
Okay.
If the Guardian existed, would you be a naughty person like Charlie X? Or if it existed, would you use it? And what would you use it for? Would it be bad like Charlie, or would you go and do something good with it? Connie and Anthony, you're up.
Well, I would say, I think I have one of my books somewhere that the planet is quarantined. No stars
answer a question without a Star
allowed
Trek
in
book?
there. So nobody could use that thing for whatever purpose, be it good or ill. Connie, what do you think?
Oh, I'd certainly use it. I would go back and relive the time that I had with my late fiance.
Aw. I can
And
think-
I'd do that over and over again if I could.
But let me see. I take it you were on good terms with your fiance.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony, could you like answer the question without a book?
No,
Like you would
because
not.
I
use
would
it
not
for-
want to think of the collateral damage that any of my actions have. Because think of the time is like how I explain this again, visual. You're in a lake. You toss a pebble into
Oh,
the
the
lake.
ripple effect.
Yes, and the ripples bounce off the rocks on the shore and they hit other waves and things go in different directions. So I know you could try to fix one thing. It's like that Voyager episode, Year of Hell. They change one little detail here that changes 200 other things. And I'm not ready to deal with all of that collateral damage.
I
So
agree.
my answer would be, as tempting as it is, no.
You're probably.
I agree. I mean,
Um,
there's the part that wants to go back and see certain things or see a certain person again. But like Anthony said, there's so many things that could happen and change everything for the future. I mean, I would be really tempted, but I don't think that I would actually go through with it. I would love to just stand there and like watch certain parts of my life happen again, just for me on my side without actually going through and being there. just to see again. I think that would be just like a dream. But yeah, actually, like going in there, you don't know what you're going to change. You know, Dr. McCoy changed everything enough that the Federation didn't exist, the Starship didn't exist. And yeah, I would love to just sit there and watch it.
I suppose
Yeah.
I should give an answer, right? I don't think
Yeah,
I
and
would.
besides which, one last word. I remember reading fan fiction. Remember when McCoy was hopped up on the drug, and the homeless guy finds his phaser and vaporizes himself? Somebody came up with the idea, oh, what if that guy, homeless dude, was somebody's father, and then his son, Mrs. Dad, and becomes a serial killer, and da da da.
Well, wouldn't them fixing the timeline bring him back? Because then McCoy was never there, so there was not a phaser for him to vaporize himself with.
Okay, and here we go with the crazy quantum temporal mechanics.
This is why we shouldn't
And
play
that arch.
But if McCoy was never there, then surely he would have come back. That's just my thought.
Right.
Okay, so would I use the Guardian for myself? Probably not. Because I feel like I've learned a lot from my experiences, and I've taken a lot from my experiences and used them to help other people through different creative works. And I wouldn't want to take any of that away from myself. I've been through a lot of hard things, yes, but look at how much I've gained.
Well, I know I've told you before, you are the catalyst that got me and my cousin back together.
Oh,
So
thank you for that.
it's true though.
It's kind of you to say, but I'm glad you and your cousin chose to come back together. I don't control people's choices, but I'm glad I motivated you to make that choice.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know, I'm glad that we can gather together whenever we gather together, and I'm glad we can watch Star Trek whenever we choose to watch Star Trek. And you know, that's the power of possibility, that us having the experiences that we have, that's what the power of possibility is. We create our possibilities by what we do with the experiences that we have. And how we learn from our experiences, that's what possibility is. Those are the possibilities we make for ourselves. And you know, we can live what life we have, even though our past may not be so glorious. And I'm stealing from Pike here.
Did she answer the question?
Yes.
No, not really. But
Captain's
But the four-
prerogative. I don't have to.
You
But the
said you
four of
can use
us-
it. That's the answer.
but the four of us just watched the same episode, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah, but we're not all going to get the same thing out of it.
exactly,
How much
because
is true?
we take from our past experiences, we take from the things that we know or have heard or have seen. And so for all of us, we get something a little bit different out of the episode. And I think that's great, because we can come back here and share our different ideas, and maybe it'll change somebody's mind, maybe it won't, but it's really nice to be able to share this in a nice place, in a nice format, where we're not yelling at each other, not saying, hey, you're not a Star Trek fan because you think such and such. And I quite enjoy that. It is a highlight of my week, because I get to
Oh,
Agree.
alone here for many hours out of the week, so it's nice to be able to talk with you guys, hear you guys say what your opinions are. That's
Yeah,
fantastic to me. I love that.
this is a place where we're not at war with ourselves, because I remember an episode, like, the little dream that Spock had, like where he was battling himself, like most of the time we're at war with ourselves and our past experiences and our pasts, and we wonder whether or not we're good enough to make a good present and future for ourselves. Is that not the case?
I don't think all of us are thinking that we're not necessarily good enough, but again, that's going to come from your past and past experiences with how people took it when you had a different opinion. So when people have a positive experience, then they're not necessarily going to think of it as I'm not good enough, but they are going to realize that, hey, there's a different opinion here. And in our own past, that's how we're going to deal with, hey, Connie has a different idea than I do. So what do I do with that information?
We
Do
love
I
it.
attack her? Do I ignore her? What do I do with the fact that she is different from me? And I think we bring that from our past.
We love the
Now,
different ideas that Connie and Anthony and anybody else that comes. We love the different ideas because we probably all have an idea of what it's like to not be loved.
Sure.
Any thoughts? By the way, we want to love your thoughts, so don't be afraid to let them out.
You
oh,
may have
and,
noticed I like to talk.
That's
Sorry.
okay. What did I tell you about that?
What?
Don't
What?
say that word.
what?
Don't say
What-
sorry.
I didn't say it.
Don't apologize for your talking. Don't do it.
Oh, me?
I said
Not you.
I have a programming note. I did not say I'm not.
What did I tell you about saying sorry for talking?
Thank you very much. I was going to say, before you wrap things up, I have a slight programming note.
We should just call you the computer because you're so knowledgeable.
No, not a computer. A computer is a tool. You need to call him Spock
Data.
or another Vulcan.
Okay, do you want to be called Spock? Do you have ears? Oh my God. He does have ears. And what was he saying? I couldn't hear him.
I was saying, right? I got freaking jury duty coming up. I only do that in your neck of the woods. But Teresa and Niece, you know what I'm talking about.
Daddy got jury duty 3 years in a row before somebody told him that all you have to do is tell them that you've already done jury duty and they will take you off the list.
Well, granted, I haven't been served in a while, so
Yeah,
next
I don't remember
Monday,
what they.
I have to wake up very early to get to the
Okay.
proper subway train to get to the courthouse,
Okay.
which means I will not have these Sunday night diatribes anytime soon.
Oh no, it was just moved for today because I wasn't feeling good on Friday.
So how you feel now?
Do
A little better.
you know how to get out of jury duty?
I don't know. Part of me feels it's my civic duty, even though I know it's annoying as all hell. It's a disruption on life. I know.
I always wanted to do jury duty, but I've been on dialysis for the last 15 years, and they permanently take you off the list for things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Connie, do you have any thoughts?
I was thinking about jury duty. When I went for jury duty, I never got called to be even selected
to maybe be on a jury, but I had to go down to the courthouse every day for like 2 weeks and sit there and wait to be called.
Yeah.
Actually, I was called once, and then they settled the case before they came back to even get us. But I don't know what it's going to be like in your area, of course, but we
Yeah,
sat
I'm-
around. We
yeah,
sat
I'm just-
around the whole morning, and I don't know why the morning was less busy or whatever. But the jury commissioner, where in my county, he actually let a bunch of us go to some non-jury trials and just observe. And I found it really fascinating, honestly, because in the courtroom, you know, people's lives are decided and things changed in people's lives based on what's decided in those rooms. And so it was just really fascinating, I thought, observing trials. Now, maybe you're not into that, but I thought it was
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean, imagine using the guardian of forever to change the outcome of a trial. Just to get
Yeah.
back on the topic.
That's a frightening thing though, because you know that we don't know what kind of impact that would have on other people affected by that trial. I mean, imagine
But
that you were to go free.
what if you could use the guardian of forever and go back to people who were falsely jailed for a crime they didn't commit? What if you could change that outcome?
Like a
Okay,
lot
now
of
we're getting back into the philosophical tough stuff.
A lot of people, though, who were falsely accused, they inspired movements that really had a huge impact on history, and those movements might be wiped out if you did that.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Like every experience has a purpose, and we shouldn't just diminish experiences just because they might have been hard on us or others. Like
Right.
all history has its value.
So I guess we have our answer with the guardian of forever then.
Like, I mean, as valuable, as interesting, and I don't know, fun is a dangerous word. Like, we should not be careless with time or our futures. I mean, power of possibility is great. And even if our past is already written, we should still live what life we have. We should still enjoy what life we have. And the future is what we make of it. And we can continue to fight with the past that we have and the experiences that we've had and the stress that has come because of our experiences. We can continue to fight with that and the impact it's had on us, so we can use our experiences for good. Instead of wishing, like, of course, we always wish that we could change things, but we can't.
Well, you know, going through the Guardian of Forever changed Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, because at the end, when Captain Kirk is, I mean, he's struggling clearly with what happened, and he has to live with the knowledge that he allowed somebody to die right in front of him. I mean, past or not, that knowledge is with him and McCoy and Spock. And when McCoy says, "Do you know what you just did?" and Spock answers, "Yes, yes, he does." I think it changed all of them.
And that's true. Our experiences can have an impact on us. It can affect who we become, and it can affect our personality, but it doesn't have to be for bad. Whatever monsters we experience, whatever things we experience, they don't have to impact us for bad. They can help us to become better, kinder, gentler people and help us to approach things in gentler ways.
But don't you think that the past experiences control whether or not you're able to take this thing and make it a knowledge and a learning experience rather than a getting angry or You know, the impact is there.
It is, but that's why
And-
it's called a process, because you go through different stages of recovery when you have an experience, because of course you need to recover when you have an experience. And there's different stages for a reason, because you have different feelings about the experience at different times, and that's perfectly human and normal. And you shouldn't try to rush the process. You shouldn't try to rush how you feel. You shouldn't try to forsake your feelings just because others try to tell you that. But you should just allow the process to happen and do it at your own pace.
Well, the grief process, since you're talking about processes, the grief process, it is not the same for every person. You know, I took psychology in college, and there was a process of grief that we had to memorize and write down on a test. But the truth is, not everybody follows that same process. We follow it in different ways.
I want to talk about that because, you know, people think, and this may have been what you were talking about, people think there's stages of grief. And that came largely from the writing of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross
Oh,
on
really?
death, her book on death and dying. But the problem is that those 5 stages are about when a person is accepting that they're going to die, like someone who's terminally ill. Those are the stages that a person like that tends to go through. They are not about grieving someone who has died. There's no process for grieving someone who has died that is the same from one person to the next. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. And the idea that there is a right way has done so much damage. And it really pisses me off.
And you know, I can say this having experienced someone who has died, seen someone who has died. There's really not a process, especially since that someone was abusive, and there's a process having to like feel free from the abuser and also deal with the death. It's like an interesting process, and having to deal with life and being free and understanding what do we do now. It's definitely a process.
Well, if I can say, 15
No
years
textbook,
ago,
there's no textbook in the world that can actually prepare you for when an event or experience happens.
very true. But, you know, 15 years ago, when I was told that I had kidney failure and I needed to start dialysis immediately or die, that's a very fast realization that you have to deal with right now in this minute. You have to go through that grieving process, like Connie said. You're dealing with your own mortality at that point. And I've since been told that I had heart disease and cancer. And the thing is, each one of those things is something that you do grieve, because I don't know how much longer I have. But the truth of the matter is, neither do you guys. Nobody knows. I mean, how many people die in car accidents every day? You don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't either. But you face it. And it seems like a hard reality, but the truth is, we don't know. We don't know. Now, we make jokes about the red shirts on the starships, and we joke about that. And I don't like those jokes, because the reality is, if you look across all of Star Trek, people die. And characters that we have come to love. And I read a report that said, when a character on a TV show or a movie that we have invested ourselves in dies, we go through a grieving process, just like if a family member or a friend died.
Mhm.
Interesting. There was one show that a main character died halfway through a season. They somehow kept it quiet that that was going to happen, and he, the actor left the show and all that. I was so pissed off I didn't watch it anymore, and I still haven't gone back and watched it. It was The Good Wife. So
I've heard of that.
say again.
I said I've heard of that, never watched it.
I mean, it is a good show, but I was just so pissed when they killed off that one character that I was just like, not again.
That actually brings up a good point for a good time for me to make a concluding quote, actually, if I can, because everybody's tired, and especially Anthony, he needs to go to bed. For jury duty, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I'm going to steal it from Anson Mount's Christopher Pike. The power, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know how long we're going to live, but that's the power of possibility. That's why it's so important. That's why the power of possibility is so important. Even if our end is already written, we can still live what life we have gloriously, because until our last moment, the future is what we make of it. And we can continue to fight with our past experiences. We can continue to fight with our insecurities, our imperfections, our sins, our sorrows, our weaknesses, or everything we find wrong with ourselves, or we can reach for the stars and just focus on living our best life possible and living our dreams, and just remembering to care about ourselves and going for our dreams, and just ignoring everything that's wrong with ourselves and just focusing on making the best experiences that we can for ourselves and living our best lives. There's some optimism for you.
Thank
But
you.
isn't that why we all love Star Trek? The whole idea of reaching for the stars, of going out and doing something. Isn't that what we love?
I'm not saying forget your past experiences, value them, use them to help yourself become better, but don't let them eat you alive to the point where they destroy you. Don't let them destroy you. It might be hard for us to care, but we must not forget to care about ourselves and our future and building the best possible future that we have, because we never know when that future will reach its end.
All right.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, I love you all. I want you all to be safe in this tumultuous world, because it is a tumultuous world. Anyway.
Well, this one's I love you. This one
Yes.
is
This is I
live
love
long
you.
and prosper.
Yeah, it combines the signs for I, L, and Y.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, so I love you double. I love you twice.
Night, ladies.
Good night.
Be safe.
Be careful.
Same.
Safe, stay well. Fight. Thank you all for joining us for this meeting tonight. Live long and prosper.